Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up JavaFX in Eclipse. Now, I remember when Eclipse used to have I think they still do have it, the EFX Eclipse marketplace thing that you can install. I tried it recently, it doesn't work. I don't know, I remember it being so simple. And also, I remember even further back, JavaFX used to be baked into the Java JDK, and you could just run it straight from there, but no longer the case. So I'm going to show you how to get it all set up, and it's relatively straightforward. Thankfully, once you've also got it all sort of set up the way you like it, I'm going to make it so you can instantly apply it to any new JavaFX project you set up as well. So that way you don't have to keep copying and pasting stuff. It is all just through the project management bit, you know, the project, right-click properties, all that. I'll get straight to it. I'll show you. So what I've done is I've downloaded a new copy of Eclipse from their website. It's just downloaded into the zip, extracted and run. And then what I've done in here is put in some simple boilerplate code, some simple stuff. So this will launch a new window with 800 by 400 pixels, and it will just show that. And as we can see, it isn't going to run. There's red everywhere. Things are not going to be happy. Things are not going to run. Yep, understandably so. I haven't got JavaFX set up for this whatsoever. So what we first want to do is go over to Chrome or whatever browser you have and head on over to openjfx.io. I'll leave a link for everything that I'm using in the description, so don't feel like you're lost. And on here, you'll see JavaFX 15, blah, 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 whatever the latest version is. We want to head down to download. And if we click on this button here, it'll take us to the long-term support download options at the top. And there's also the latest releases. Now, I'm going to be showing this example with the long-term support version, which will do the job perfectly fine. Now, depending upon which operating system you're using, whichever one it is, you'll want to make sure to get the one that's for you. And you want to make sure it's the SDK version, not the JMods. You want this one here for Windows, this one here for macOS, and this one here for Linux. Now, I'm running Pop! OS, so I'll be downloading this Linux SDK one over here. If you're running Windows, like I say, you want that top one there. macOS, you want this one here. Now, when you click download, it will download a zip folder. And I have one already downloaded here. It'll take you about 2 or 3 minutes to download, so pause here if you need to. But if you've got it ready now, then you want to simply open with Archive Manager or whatever you're using on your system, 7-zip, the unarchiver for Mac, whichever one you're using. Simply put, you just want to extract that folder to wherever that zip file downloaded to. And for me, I put it in my Documents folder. And this extracted folder, you want to put this somewhere that it's not going to move from. We want Eclipse to be able to reference this every time without fail. And if this folder moves at all, then Eclipse is going to be a little upset. So I'd recommend putting it in your Documents folder on Windows, Mac, whatever. Maybe not on Mac if you've got iCloud set up, but yeah, somewhere you're not going to move it. And for all intents and purposes, I'm going to rename this folder just to JavaFX. And that just keeps the reference simple. So when we need to use that later, I can easily just say JavaFX. If you're following along, do exactly the same. Won't make any difference either way, just makes it easy to reference. So we've got JavaFX, we've got Eclipse running. Now we just need to link the two together. Now traditionally you would import the jar files from this JavaFX folder. If I head in here and go into the lib folder, you'll see here you've got, oops, if you don't type anything and try and search, you'll see that there's JavaFX base.jar, JavaFX controls.jar. All of these jar files, usually you'd add them straight to your project. So you'd go into right-click on your project and go to Properties. And under your class path, you can add external jars. What we're going to do is set up a user library. And what that'll do is it will tell Eclipse to keep a reference to all those jar files, package them in a single library that we can import into our projects. So to do that, you'll want to go onto your Java build path and then go onto this Libraries tab. And in here, you'll see your JRE, which is your Java runtime environment, the one that's installed on your system, and your class path, which is empty. Now, you'll want to click onto Add Library on the right-hand side here. And then we'll want to select User Library from this list. And we can see here, there's no user library set up. Maybe you've set one up before, but for me, new installation, so nothing in here. Now, you'll want to click on User Libraries on the right here. And that's going to bring up the preferences for Eclipse and show us all of the user libraries that are set up on Eclipse. And we want to add a new one. And we're going to call it JavaFX, as this will hold all the JavaFX jar files that are going to be needed for running any JavaFX applications. So we can click OK, and now we've got that reference set up. We can add the jar files that link to it. And for me, I save them under my documents, JavaFX, that folder we renamed here, under lib, and then we've got all these jar files here. Now, you'll want to get all of these. I'm going to hold shift and then click the bottommost one. And what that'll do is it will select all of them from top to bottom. On Windows, you should be able to drag and select, and the same on Mac. But yeah, whichever you use to select all, you can select them individually if you're not too sure. But essentially put, we want to add all of these jar files. So if we click open, we've now added them to that JavaFX library here. They're all popped up. Now we can click apply and close, and we can see here it's already checked. So this will be added to our current project. If we click finish, it's now been added to our class path. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you hit apply, we can see all these squiggles on our project disappear. And if you click apply and close, you'll definitely see that change occur. So you might be thinking, that should work. I mean, like all the red squiggles are gone. That'll load, right? Wrong. If we click run, it's going to say JavaFX runtime components are missing and are required for running this application. And what that's saying is Eclipse is trying to do its best to run it, but it's missing some settings that it needs. And usually to do this, if we head back over to Chrome, and if we head over to openjfx.io/openjfx-docs, this is the website for JavaFX's documentation for running the setup. And on the left-hand side, we'll have JavaFX and Eclipse. So if we click on that and then scroll down, we'll hit a bit that's red and it says, aha, same error that we're getting here. And the solution for this is to go into your run options, your run configurations, and then add this path here, these options for the VM arguments. And that's all well and good. It will solve the problem. But having to do that for every project is going to be a pain. You'll have to bookmark this tab and you'll have to remember to keep changing this path here or have it saved in a note. Right, pain. Don't want to do that. We like simplicity, making it easy. And yep, there's even different ones for Windows and macOS and Linux. So you'll want to make sure you get the right one of these two. Ignore that for now. I'll show you where you need to put it and then we can copy paste it. So if we go back into Eclipse, right click our project and click properties, we head back to Java build path and libraries, just where we were setting up this JavaFX user library. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a clone of the JRE, or at least a cloned link to it, and then add them new options to that new JRE. So we've got one basic version for all our regular Java projects, and we'll have a second one that has those extra VM options pointing to the same place, but allowing us to just simply check a box when we need it. So to do that, we will click on the one that we've got at the moment under module path, and then click edit. And this will bring up the menu for saying, do you want to change it? And yes, we do. But more so than that, we need to set up the one we're changing it to. So if we click installed JREs, we've now got the system preferences for Eclipse again, and this is now targeting installed JREs. And what we first need is this location here. This location is going to refer to where our current installation is. So if we click edit, it'll just make copy pasting this section a lot easier. So JRE home, we want to select this here and we want to copy it. Control C, whatever works for you, and then click finish. That's all we need from there. Now we need to set up a new JRE, but pointing to the same place. So if we click add and then click standard VM and then hit next, we're greeted with a very similar box to what we had before. At the top, we just need to paste in that same line that we copied in. And it's saying, yeah, it's already in use. And the reason it's coming up with an error and not letting us finish is because the JRE name matches identical to the last one. So what I'm going to do is just, instead of Java, I'm going to name this JavaFX. And then the third option here, VM arguments, just what we need. So if we head back over to Chrome, and like I said, I'm running Pop! OS Linux, so I'll want this one right here. If you're running Windows, just click on this little button for Windows here. And as you can see, pretty much identical. All that's changed is the forward slashes are now backslashes, and your quotes are now around your module path. And that's mainly the difference. We will need to change what's in this path here to what we're using on our system. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So if we go back over to Eclipse, paste in those arguments here, and then if I scroll back over, we need to change this path to and this JavaFX SDK bit. We want to change that to where we've got the jar files saved on our system. Now, if you're running Windows, that is relatively simple. You go to the folder where you know it's saved, you right-click, go to Properties, and on your system, you'll have the location as to where it's saved. And the same for Pop! OS here. I've got the parent folder, Home Jazza Documents, and this is telling me where this folder is saved. On Mac, you should be able to right-click and I believe it's, what is it? Get Info. Just have a quick check. Should be able to right-click and yeah, Get Info will tell you the exact same thing. It will say on there, where is it saved? And it should be something like Macintosh HD, users, your username, and wherever else that it goes. So yeah, we want to basically copy and paste what's in here, whichever that is for you. Just grab one you need. And yeah, we can change what this Java SDK bit all the way from path at the beginning to wherever it's saved. And like I said earlier, I like to change the name. So I've also deleted that JavaFX hyphen whatever it was and just call it JavaFX/lib. And yeah, if you're following along with me and change the name of the directory, you'll want to change that bit there too. Just don't forget there's that lib bit just after it, /lib. And then the add modules bit, we can leave be. That's all set up as it should be. And yeah, we can now click finish. And now it's letting us choose which is the default. If you're working primarily with JavaFX for this particular installation, then yeah, you'll want to leave this checked as your default. But if not, then I'd recommend leaving the default for the one that came with the system, came with the installation, leave that checked as your default, and then just simply tick the JavaFX one when you need it. And this is the setup that I usually use. So if you're not too sure which one to choose, this works for me, this will work for you. So apply and close. And now that we've chosen the default, we can now set the particular one for our current project. So yeah, we can click this little drop down after clicking the install JRE, alternate JRE rather, little radio box there. And then clicking the drop down, we've got our standard Java 14 and we've got the JavaFX 14 that we've created. So I'll click that, click finish, apply and close. And if you've done everything right, and I will put a little asterisk here, if you're running Windows and Linux, when you click play, you'll see that this box shows up fine. Now, the reason I put this asterisk in is if you're running macOS, there is a little checkbox which caused nightmares for me. And the way you can find it is under your run launcher, or just next to it, there's this little arrow. And I showed you it a little earlier. This run configuration bit, you have in here, under arguments, a second checkbox here. And what it is, it should say something like -XstartOnFirstThread or something along those lines. And yep, XstartOnFirstThread VM argument. Now, this causes nightmares on macOS because it's for SWT, it's for something that you're not even using, and it's turned on by default. This you want to uncheck. So if I could show you an example, it would be if this was the option, you want to uncheck that. You want to make that a blank box. The reason being is that when it launches JavaFX, the little window loads without being visible. It's almost like it's disappeared. Your little run thing in the bottom here will turn red, making it seem like it's running. You'll have a little box pop up where the application's running in your toolbar, but nothing will actually show on the screen. No box will show where the window is. And by unchecking that box like this here, I'm just going to check that because I'm going to need this one. But yeah, if you uncheck that second box and then click run, yours will now show up with that new box popping up here. So hopefully that clears up any panic that any macOS people are having if they follow this. Yeah, I know it definitely tripped me up, but for everyone else, that should work fine. And if you've unchecked that box on macOS, that means everyone's happy. Everything's working. Now, that seemed like a lot to go over. And you may be thinking, you said this was going to be easy. And yeah, no, it certainly is. We create a new project. Whenever we do this for our next second, third, fourth, nth project, besides the first, it's all set up. We can reuse what we've just made. So I'm going to create a new project, new FX project. It's going to be a standard project, just nothing fancy about it, just as you do. I'm not even going to create that. I'm going to say no to the perspective. It is a blank, empty project, all happy and ready for some new code to be added. And I'm just going to put in this package called, I don't know, FX project, and call this launcher, or maybe something different. Let's go with yeah, run. How about that? Nice and simple. Run in package FX project. Now what I'll do is I'm going to grab the code from here, pop it in here, and yep, I'll need to change the class name because that certainly wasn't its name. And we can see here we're back to square one. There are red squigglies everywhere, nothing's ready to run. Now, same again, we want to right click on our new project, go to properties, and head over to build path and libraries. And you'll see we're back to square one. Same JRE, nothing in the class path, but here's where the fun bit is. If you click on these options like we did before, go to edit on the first one here under module path JRE, click the alternate JREs, that new option is still there ready. So we can just click that one and click finish. So now we're using the JavaFX one with the custom VM arguments. Class path, if we add a new library, new user library, and then tick this JavaFX, we can apply and close, and boom, done. There is nothing else to do unless you're running macOS, in which case you want to pop up here, go to your run configurations, head over to your arguments, and just uncheck that extra box. And if you're running Windows and Linux, you won't have that box, so you don't have to worry. But once you've done that, clicking play, yeah, I want to save that, I want to run it. There you go. New project, running fine. Let me just change that, make sure it's running the right one. There we are. 500 by 400. Working perfectly fine, all set up, no problem whatsoever. And hopefully that helps you out. Give a thumbs up if it has. And if it was too confusing, let me know and I'll make an even simpler one if I can. Maybe even a script that just does it automatically for you would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you've had troubles with it, post in the comments down below. But yeah, hopefully this has helped you guys out. And yeah, I'll be putting out some more stuff that's hopefully useful for any beginner Java programmers out there. So yeah, have fun and yeah, hope you have a good one.